Hey, it's Soul with another video, and today we're going to be looking at the new whispers from Il'gynoth. Oh boy. This is going to be a video of speculation and spoilers for patch 8.3, so if you're not all that prepared to spoil yourself, then don't. Take a look at other stuff, and I'll see you for the next video. But for those of you who want to stick around, I've been on the record about not really being fond of the old gods and the whispers and how it equates to a kind of prophecy, unless the whispers don't turn out to be true. But in the meantime, players such as you and I scramble to try to find some sort of connection between these vague whispers and events that happen in the game. Now, we've learned from the previous Il'gynoth whispers way back in the Legion days that some of these whispers turned out to be quite literal, like the Circle of Stars, how it turned out to be an actual location instead of just a mere metaphor. But at the same time, there are some whispers that have yet to be fulfilled, or they've been very vague, such as Anduin's 3 lies. Maybe they have come true, but it's been very hard to, I guess, come to a very concrete conclusion or a concrete connection as to where they are. So that might be a instance of maybe not all the whispers end up coming true. So I'm actually doing this live. There's stream right here that's going on, but I'm not going to be super interactive. I want to try to come at this with just kind of fresh thoughts, which might turn out to be total garbage. So I apologize in advance if I'm not really expressing a whole lot of, really strong in-game knowledge, but I'm going to do my best. Let's get right to these whispers and try to determine what might these mean? And I'm going to try to think of as many possibilities as I can. I'm not going to assert that I'm right about any of these whispers or that, hey, here's what it's definitely going to be, but let's just kind of share some thoughts and give some guesses, and let's do it. First off, before the last shadow falls, the father of sleep shall savor his feast. So, last shadow kind of asserts it could be Nzoth. Since he's the last active old god around, all the other old gods have been effectively incapacitated and or killed in the case of Yasarj or Yasaraj, however you want to pronounce it. The Father of Sleep, I did manage to remember seeing on the forum that this has a strong reference to Muazala? I don't know how to pronounce that very well, but this comes from a piece of in-game assets that you see. It's in-game that refers to Muazala as the Father of Sleep. So this could be a strong connection. Before the last shadow falls, the Father of Sleep shall savor his feast. So it asserts that whoever's being confronted is eventually going to be defeated, but not without a great cost. So let's say in the case of Nzoth, if he's into devouring souls or something like that, then he is in fact going to devour a lot of souls or something to that effect before he's taken down. It may be more directly, hey, just a lot of people are going to die before this Battle for Azeroth expansion is over. There might be some sort of crazy event that happens that ends up killing a lot of people before everything ends. So could the Father of Sleep be something that's related to death? Sleep as in, the end of life. People often refer to like the big sleep as dying. So it could be some reference to death as well. Let's move on to the second quotes. Maybe I'll come back to these previous quotes as we go along. The Golden One claims a vacant throne. The Crown of Light will bring only darkness. The immediate name that comes to mind here is Calia, because, spoiler alert, Lillian Voss will talk Calia and Derek Proudmoore into being like, hey, come on over, the Forsaken need your help, they need a leader. I'm not that great at being a leader, you might be, let's do it. And Calia's like, sure, alright, I can do this. And so there is a mutual goodbye between Calia and Derek and Jaina and her mom and all that stuff. So we might see like a cool little cutscene where there's a heartfelt goodbye between them, whoop-de-doo, and then off they go and they join the Forsaken. As for how they join the Forsaken, though, it's freaking anyone's guess. Is she going to like co-lead? Is she going to, assert herself as queen? And of course, how are the other Forsaken going to feel about this? The Golden One claims a vacant throne. That much seems clear. But you could also kind of connect this to Anduin as well. Sure, it's kind of a past tense thing. It's like, dude, he's claimed the throne for kind of a while now. But he is definitely a king. He's definitely a royal. He definitely has a kingdom. Calia still needs to assert herself, and there's no telling whether she's going to be recognized as a queen or as the leader of the Forsaken, if that is the route that this story is going to take. The Crown of Light will bring only darkness. We can easily associate that with Anduin because he has a very clear association with the light. Calia's resurrection is due largely in part of the light, but there's the kind of a twinge of shadow in there because she was resurrected with the assistance of Alonz's Fel. So if anything else, this just kind of foreshadows whoever it is, Calia or Arthas or or Anduin, that bad times are ahead for any of these individuals, or basically, I guess, the Forsaken. Bad times are ahead. I wondered to myself, though, should bad times still be ahead? Is there still going to be more misfortune that's going to befall the Forsaken? That kind of sucks, because they're already down in the dumps. I'm not quite sure how much more kicking in the face that they need. This one might not be a great connection, but I would say Turalyon. He's not exactly gold, but he is probably the closest to what I would say is like an avatar or a champion of the light. The golden one claims a vacant throne. Let's go really out there and say that somehow Turalyon takes the throne, or he somehow gains this sort of title of not just High Exarch, but just, I don't know, some really high hoity-toity title that represents an avatar of the light. I mean, heck, I could say that's Ilaria Windrunner. Whenever she's in her normal form, she has golden hair and such, but I think we're going really far from there. The important thing, though, is that these whispers, they tend to be grounded in the end. So even these whispers, they tend to lean towards a pretty obvious answer. So my vote, at least for now, would go towards Calia. Maybe Anduin, and then everything else is like a distant third. Let's move on to the third quote. When their mistress beckons, the 9 ravens take flight. Each seeks a prize to earn her favor. The 9 ravens immediately caught my attention because I thought of the 9 Valkyr that serve Sylvanas. So at first I'm thinking, okay, cool, maybe this has something to do with the Valkyr. When their mistress, Sylvanas, beckons, the 9 Valkyr take flight, and each of them seeks a prize to earn her favor. The problem is that most of them are dead. I think there's only 3 left, if I'm counting correctly. I might not be. So it might not be the 9 Valkyr, but what are there 9 of still, if anything? 9 ravens. Ravens can also refer to Odin, who takes the form of who takes the form of a raven. It could have something to do with Khadgar, who takes the form of a raven. Same thing with Medivh. Over here on stream, we have Monarch suggesting that, hey, maybe this might have something to do with Dark Rangers, some of the most loyal servants of Sylvanas. We do see that a lot of them stay behind over in Orgrimmar. In fact, we don't even quite know who follows Sylvanas into wherever the heck that she's going. Heck, even the Thanos doesn't even follow her. They part ways, they go in separate directions when we last see them. But for them to seek a prize to earn her favor, maybe that's not super literal, because these people have already earned Sylvanas' favor. That's how they became Dark Rangers in the first place. That's why Thanos is a champion of the Banshee Queen, as he styles himself. I was really hoping that it would be like the Valkyr, because that makes the best connection. I mean, we can't say for sure, like, if the Valkyr are defeated, are they utterly destroyed? Is there some essence that maybe if they're killed out here in the mortal realm, they get banished to the Shadowlands? So maybe they might still exist in some way, shape, or form. But it's just not in a way that can really help Sylvanas, at least not right now. So perhaps Sylvanas does realize that, yes, she does still kind of have access to all her Valkyr, or, I mean, she's basically still running low on Horcruxes. She doesn't have, you know, extra lives left really, but she still can utilize the Valkyr for something. So maybe she's telling the Valkyr, hey, go get these things, and the 6 that are banished to the Shadowlands, maybe they're getting some stuff. The other 3 that remain on Azeroth and elsewhere, they're going around and getting something too. That's pretty much all I got for that one. This one's, yeah. It sucks because there's so many different factors here that aren't, you know, entirely related. But I think that's my best guess. All right, let's move on to the next one. The Vassal of Life disguises treachery. Beware the eyes of green. Blood Elves is what first comes to mind. Beware the eyes of green. Who else has green eyes? Beware the eyes of green. The green dragonflight could also come to mind. Yeah, I haven't looked at all these quotes, so some of these I'm like kind of a total blank on. The Blood Elves definitely came to mind because of their, you know, green eyes, but the whole Vassal of Life, that doesn't seem to translate very well. What's his name has kind of green eyes. Dormu has kind of green looking eyes. Sarah, not quite. The Vassal of Life disguises treachery, beware the eyes of green. I mean, I guess the dragons fit the best, or, you know, someone like Sarah fits the best. It's just that she's dead. And I'm not quite sure how it relates to the Vassal of Life disguising treachery. So what else would be a Vassal of Life? A person or a country in a subordinate position to another, a holder of land by feudal nature on conditions of homage and allegiance. I'm stuck on this word, vassal, in allegiance. Let me look at scenarios. Come on, resolution. There we go. Green. That looks pretty green. But I want to see in-game stuff, not just drawn representations. So I think I'll go with scenarios as for the green, which I feel bad. It's like, dude, we've already like had to take on a corrupt scenarios and stuff. Now we got to do it again. But yeah, this one's tough. I mean, it's hard to say. Like maybe scenarios might not be actively working with the Void, but he might do something that would contradict or otherwise be in conflict with the champions of Azeroth. I agree with you. I'm just not quite sure where it ties in. But the thing is, like, Cenarius is alive. Ysera's dead, so he's around to be treacherous. There's nothing for Ysera to betray because we already put her down. It's just that we don't know what his intentions are, and we don't quite know if it means that he's going to be corrupted or if he's just going to act against the interests of Azeroth. So maybe Cenarius would be like, well, you know, I'm totally for, like, let's say, for example, re-origination, which would probably kill him too. Mother's eyes. Let's take a look at Mother. I don't know if Mother would count. It's kind of green, you know, and she is, you know, kind of Azeroth's caretaker at the moment, along with Magni. That could be a good one too. It's just whether or not this is green. I'd say it's kind of blue. Maybe it's because she's behind the doors and all that stuff. But maybe. But we would be looking for something who definitely has some sort of authority. So my vote would be towards Cenarius, perhaps Mother too. But anyway, for now, let's go ahead and move on. 5 lanterns now darkened. The flame they seek will light the master's way. 5 lanterns. Sounds like old gods. So let me count. If I can count this. Yasiraj, Cthulhu, Nzoth, Yogg, and shit. Come on, Biopedia. Oh, Nzoth, Cthulhu, Yogg. Okay, so 4. Dang it. Okay, so not the old guards. 5 lanterns now darkened. One suggestion would be the world trees. What else? What other 5 things are there? 5 lanterns now darkened. The flame that they seek, they as in the lanterns, will light the master's way. Lanterns. World trees? I don't know. 5 dragonflights? How many dragonflights are there again? Red, green, bronze, blue, black. That's all of them, right? And on top of that, how many pillars of creation were there again? The dragonflies, the pillars, and whatnot. The flame that they seek will light the master's way. I like considering the dragonflies in this case. So it's like the flame that they seek. So it looks like they might be trying to restore some of their power. But if they were, wouldn't they just like talk to Freya? Since Freya made them in the first place, they're the ones who turned them from just mere proto-drakes or whatever they were into the actual flies. Like, hey, Freya, can you hook us up? And Freya's like, no, bro, I don't feel like doing it. So, you know, figure something out. And they'll be like, oh, man. So, I think I'll go with the 5 flights for this one. The flame they seek will light the master's way. So the old gods, as well as the 5 dragon flights, they're seeking the same thing. Is it the Dragon Soul again? Is the Dragon Soul somehow going to like return to the Warcraft universe somehow, some way? That would be the way to do it, because after all, that flame was literally what they had to sacrifice in order to stop Deathwing. So maybe the old gods are seeking that too. That's kind of the direction that this particular quote is going. And remember, none of these, one or more of these may not end up turning out to be a thing. So that's very important, to hold off on the reactions and just focus on, okay, let's see what the possibilities are and go from there. For now, though, let's go ahead and move on. The Blind Queen wears a scepter of bone. From the deep, she calls forth doom. So there's only so many queens that we have to work with. We got Sylvanas, who is a self-styled queen more than anything. We have Calia. That's about it. There's not too many other queens that we can really work with. The Blind Queen wields a scepter of bone. From the deep, she calls forth doom. It's hard to see Calia doing anything like this yet, so it could easily be Sylvanas. Actually, you guys have a good guess too with Ashara. Ashara could be this Blind Queen as well. We do learn at the end of this raid, or I guess during the raid, that, and I don't like this very much, that Ashara always had a plan to stop Nzoth herself using Xal'atath, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because it took so long for the knife to get in Ashara's hands when it should have just went into, I guess like she improvised or something like that. Anyway, we're neither here nor there yet. But what would the Scepter of Bone be? One person says it could be the Forsaken, but I don't quite see Ashara controlling the Forsaken. And with the indications in 8.3, she's not in a position to call forth anything. She seems to just be done. You know what? I totally forgot about Calia. I don't know about a Blind Queen, but she certainly wields a Scepter of Bone, as in she has power over the undead. She is from the deep. She resides in the deep, as in she has her own realm. She can potentially call forth doom, although that'd be her own doom. Or she can summon her own army and all that. So this could be, hey, Helio is definitely coming back, or Helio may make an appearance. But as for being blind, it could be any of these people who are who are maybe laser focused on something and not on another. So that actually backs up Calia even more as a candidate, as the Blind Queen, because she has this really strong hatred for Odin. And maybe her hatred for Odin makes her blind to other things that are around her. So it's like her quest to put an end to him, or kill him, or stop him, or whatever. It's going to leave her back open to betrayal, or just being attacked from the side, or being outflanked, or something like that. So now for the final quote. The cunning ones kneel before 6 masters, but serve only one. The 6 that immediately comes to mind would be the 6 great elements that make up the Great Dark Beyond: light and void, chaos and arcane and fell, life and death. The cunning ones kneel before 6 masters, but serve only one. This sounds more like This sounds more like an assertion from like the old gods of the void that's, yes, you might be doing all these things, but in the end you're serving only me. It's almost like saying, you know, it kind of goes back to Sylvanas's all will serve death sort of thing. Monarch is saying that it might be the new Council of Horde, because it turns out, as it's going to turn out, the Horde is going to abandon the title of War Chief. Told you guys, in favor of the Council. That one doesn't, I don't know about that connection, because it's the cunning ones, they kneel before six masters or otherwise. So it's like saying the Horde is serving is meant to be serving this Council of the Horde, but they are actually not. They're actually just serving one person, as in there's still going to be someone who plays the role of war chief or representative or something like that. Or actually, this is a good theory too. The cunning ones kneel before six masters but serve only one, so this might refer only to Sylvanas's loyalist party, who are like, yeah, we're gonna serve the Horde, yeah, whatever. But in reality, we serve the Dark Lady, hell yeah. And we've seen at least one instance of someone saying, oh yeah, for the Horde, blah, 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 for the Dark Lady, and all that. So that could be a thing. So it may not be a cosmic deal. This could just be a prophecy that within the Forsaken, there's still going to be a faction that's loyal to Sylvanas Windrunner. The one thing that makes me just a little bit hesitant about that is that it's like, man, they're just really dragging the Forsaken through the mud. One tragedy after another, losing their leader, gaining someone. And because there are so many threads that are being left alone, such as what really happened with Derek Proudmoore? Is he really free? Or is there, was there actual programming that was done that Sylvanas is just kind of sitting on until she feels like the time is right, and then boom, she'll just like do her thing, and all of a sudden everything just hits the fan? Because we're at a stage, and so this makes it interesting because we're at a stage now, and this is all, this is all PTR stuff, and anything can change. But Derek and Calia are positioning themselves away from the Alliance. They're leaving essentially, and they're leaving with the blessing of their families to go over and team up with the Forsaken. Now, as to whether or not that's going to immediately make them into faction leaders, or if it's going to go back to my theory of, well, maybe they're going to create their own kind of separate faction that's more or less neutral, where they just take the Forsaken that want to leave the Horde and want to stop fighting. Hey, come with us. We just want to live our lives out and try to live like normal people and not worry about fighting. I'm sure that there are a lot of Forsaken that'd be like, oh, hell yeah, I'm up for that. Let's go. So that could be a thing. Meanwhile, Lillian Voss or other high profile Forsaken, they'll be the leader of the remaining people that are still there, notably the ones that happen to be player characters. This makes me really curious about what the fate of the Forsaken are going to be in that case. For all we know, that it might be a thing where this would be really sad. You have Derek and Calia, they kind of have their own separate thing with these other Forsaken, and then all of a sudden Sylvanas flips some switch, Derek goes nuts, kills everybody. It's really hard to say. And again, when it comes to these whispers, everything's taken with a grain of salt. That's all I really got to say about that. But that pretty much wraps up some of these whispers here. I am 100% sure that I am 2% correct about any of these, but I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on the matter as well. What are some of your theories about what these quotes could mean? And yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you didn't already, like the video if you enjoyed yourself, and otherwise subscribe for more of this on all things Warcraft. I'll see you guys for the next thing. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.